Good. God, I was gonna
What's
say Sunday. I was gonna say, honestly, I was gonna say Sunday afternoon, but it's a Wednesday afternoon.
that?
Welcome in everybody to Out of Rhythm Spitting Seeds edition. We've actually moved to Wednesdays for the meantime right now, but I'm Jamie and that's Donovan on the other side.
Howdy,
So
howdy.
so we were sorry we were just a little delayed on our starting. We were actually talking a little launch angles and stuff like that because we're actually going to talk a little points league stuff here. So we're going to do a little quick 30 minute. It's that's all Donovan has time for, and I got a draft to do at 6 o'clock myself. So um, well, I don't know. Is it up or down? Chad, I don't know. With you, it's always confusing. My brain is always confuzzled a little bit. It juggles around a little bit too much. So, no, I'm just kidding, Chad. But no, yeah, we were just kind of. So we're actually Donovan and I and Chad. We're actually doing a little 10 point or 10 man points league, which we'll do actually next week, and we can try to maybe recap that a little bit.
Yeah, maybe Monday. Next week I'll be
Yep.
next week I'll be fairly busy with the kids on spring break and we're
Yeah.
going out of town but Monday night might work. We'll see.
Come
I'll
on,
see.
Bob. Bob, don't be so serious, man. Come on now. Bob, I know, he was all like, I don't know if I want to join. And it's like, come on now. Kind of
Yeah.
scared. I'm just kidding, man. No, just real quick. I know Chad and Eli and we were actually streaming yesterday, and the baseball or WBC was actually championship game was last night. So did you actually catch any of that at all before we actually get into the whole chatter quick?
I've watched some recap. I didn't watch the entire game. I did finally learn that Lars Nootbaar is Japanese, so that was pretty cool.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
He's
I didn't know that. That's
He's their
crazy.
he's their center fielder. His and I have his name up here. His real name is Lars, which is a really cool name anyway. I wanted to name my son either Lars or Ulrich after Lars Ulrich from Metallica. But anyway,
That's
Lars
insane.
Taylor Tatsuji Nutbar. So
Huh. Well,
very I
I
guess
might.
I've never and he has a brother named Nigel Nutbar. So that's pretty cool too. But
That's kind of insane, man. I would never. You would think New Barbie more like traditional USA kind of thing, but
yeah, it sounds or what Lutabar. It sounds somewhere
yeah,
over
yeah,
Europe, not
yeah.
Japanese. But
More German
I
style
mean,
traditional name, probably.
I could see it in his face now that I look, so I'm sure it's yeah. I'm not going to go down that road, but
Yeah,
I could see it when I see his picture, and I guess I never really even didn't notice, and the name just
that's
really didn't lead me
insane.
down to believe that. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Um, things you learn. That's
Yeah,
pretty.
that's we all just never stop learning unless you don't want to learn something.
And until today, I've never even clicked on Lars Nootbaar's name because I'm not a believer in the Nootbaar phenomena. So
That's insane. Insane, insane. Uh, oh, look at that right there.
there it is.
Yeah.
Dang, Sean,
Yes.
he's in.
But yeah,
Yeah, I
I
see
know.
that. Cali, going
Yeah,
back to Cali.
yeah, since that's totally insane. But yeah, Japan actually wins WBC, and so now we can finally get to some baseball here within a week. And I actually caught just the last little bit of that game before I actually went to work, and I saw Otani strike out Trout, and I was like, gave me goosebumps. I'm like, damn, dude, because Chad in our Discord, he was kind of going on about, or I think it was Chad. Some of the he didn't like. He wanted to be traded, or he might not be on the roster anymore. I can't remember who it was. Somebody was saying that. And I'm like, so I mentioned like, well, him striking out Trout, maybe it made him feel good inside.
Now maybe the dugout might be a silent place now.
Yes, for
Over,
sure.
over.
Maybe.
Maybe there'll be no talking in the dugout.
So, if that is possible, if
No.
he does maybe get tr if he does, if a trade does happen, maybe mid-season or something like that, would that actually bump up maybe Sandoval or, Tyler Anderson, like, in the rotation? You th even in just overall.
With a trade?
Yeah, if it maybe a trade
Oh,
happened, would that
yeah,
bump up
so
those.
that just means that they'll be done with this hybrid six-man rotation and probably go to the 5 or I don't know. But yes, that would bump everybody would just bump up and because Otani's your dude, but they
Yeah,
have him on that just uh just with the six-man rotation to limit his days out there on the mound. So that would be what would happen there, I think.
yeah,
Uh,
I was gonna try to find something here real quick here. When the heck is it? Lost Sessions done. I just wanted to see if they did end up trading, Otani. There it is. If, how far which if, Sandoval and, how much farther they would bump up in the rotation, I guess I would eh, yeah, with Sandoval or maybe maybe Sandoval would be their SP1 then maybe possibly if that ever did happen?
um they're gonna try not to make that happen likely,
Yeah,
but
I wouldn't think so, but I mean, if it did happen, Sandoval maybe their one.
yeah, I mean, he's having a decent spring, so could it be? It could be. I, I don't know that I guess he would be. Yeah, I think he'd have to be, but I don't know that that excites me.
Yeah, Chad says it doesn't mean anything, but well, my point is since we're talking about points leagues, with maybe Sandvold or Tyler Anderson, if that did happen, if they'd whether their points actually rise a little bit more when it
Oh,
comes
sure.
more for a points league. That's what point I'm actually trying to get to, Chad, as well. So I mean, I was just kind of wondering in that direction if that with all the stuff they were talking about if that would actually happen, since we're, and we mentioned
Yeah.
that too a little bit too, because we looked at Sandoval where he was last year and his projections. He was actually moving up maybe like 5 positions. I think I might even still have that here. Let me take a look here real quick.
I think every A's or Angels starter would see an increase in innings because you just take Otani out, and if they go to the traditional 5 instead of the
Yeah,
5.5 starters, or I think they're still considered a 6, but it just
yeah,
spreads them out a little more. And right now, so yeah, they would just they would all have to pick up another start. So I
yep,
mean,
yep. Tyler Anderson, he had about 239 last year, and maybe if that did move, and I think Sandoval too. He was
right,
actually um was supposed to move up too as well, if I believe right. Yeah, see, I think he was like, yeah, I said 7 positions, so he was like maybe 67 last year. So and I think yeah, he was like 60. So I think they bumped him up. I think he went up like 7 spots because I mentioned that to you as well. So I mean, 311 points. That's not. Maybe he gets more this year.
he could. I like I said, he's having a pretty decent spring, and um, if he gets more innings, he's about he throws about a strikeout an inning. So if he gets more innings, and that means he gets
Yeah,
more strikeouts, which essentially means he'll get more points. So and that's probably destined to happen anyway. But
yeah.
think it'd be- yeah,
Yeah, and, it's just stuff to kind of think about, or even if they did lose one of their main guys, who would be kind of be their ace guy if that did kind of happen, and whatnot too as well. But it's the other thing too is now when you strategize for a points league, which which way would you want to go in the first couple rounds? Would you straight off go pitcher first round, batter first round, second round batter pitcher?
So now what are we at? This is a 10-man coming up.
Yeah, this be a
Which
10 man. Yep. I
so
figured.
and for the record, Jamie's putting me on a hard spot, so I'll probably be auto
Not
drafting, and I'm trying frantically to figure out how to even get to it because I can only use the app right now. Yada yada yada. You don't all need to hear this, but I'll hopefully at least have some sort of a draft queue set up before while I'm driving to my cottage.
yeah.
So it depends where I'm at. I think I shouldn't say that it's like a regular head-to-head categories because it's not, because it's points and that
Yeah.
pushes certain people up.
Yeah.
But I still think that early first round, similar to head-to-head in a way, you're taking power, 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 right? And then
There you go. Hey, Sean, I know, Sean, you might be a cheater and start taking all the guys I want too, because you see me drafted in those deep 20-man leagues, so he might be sniping me. No,
oh,
because I've done a few mocks too as well, like on ESPN, and I've noticed a lot of people taking more like pictures right away, kind of early too, as well. Like some of those top end guys, like Arias, Burns, Spencer Strider, Garrett Cole, and some of those. So you see, like a lot of these guys coming off the board a little bit earlier than what you expect in a categories league.
yeah. Sean, DM me if you want to co-manage that.
Hey, 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 now.
I can get co-managers.
Yeah, no, I mean, if Sean wants to draft for you,
Yeah,
hey, sure. No big deal there. I just want you, if you're able to draft, if somebody else can draft for you too. I mean,
yeah.
hey, that's fine.
I
Um,
just I never like I don't want to leave the league hanging is what is the main point of it. And I know you're trying to fill it. I am driving up north right as you're drafting, so that won't work for me.
yeah, I
So
can change the time that. So I mean,
no,
on
no,
that, it's
no.
not a big,
Everybody's
not a,
everybody's already based on that. So Sean will help me out. He'll
yeah.
DM me. Don't be
But
scared, Jamie. Embrace this. It's a
yeah,
challenge.
embrace it. Yeah.
So
No.
anyway, I think you're looking at like for me, a guy like Juan Soto, he'll jump up as a top 3 guy compared to, like, for me anyway, he's a bottom, of a bottom of a first round guy where in a head-to-head category, and just points, he's a little more valuable. So people like that, you just want guys that are gonna get you points across the board, and the best way to get points is to hit home runs because you get your points for your home run, you get your RBIs, whoever's on base, you suck those up, and you get a run for yourself on top of it. So I think the big bats are very important in that setting,
Yeah,
and then you
and
want to shift towards your workhorse pitchers.
yeah, and I know I try to sometimes draft kind of like what I would do in a categories league sometimes, but I know a lot of times too. I know like the pitching is usually a little bit more valuable right away off a hand sometimes. So a lot of times I'll try to gravitate more towards pitching kind of early too, to get some more of those guys that are
Mhm.
actually going to get a lot more of those strikes and wins as possible too. And so and I some like last year I ended up drafting some that a little bit almost the same way I was kind of doing now a little bit. Especially on ESPN. I didn't really care for their platform much, so I just tossed some stuff out there to kind of see how it would help me
Yeah,
in the long run.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, right. And I see Sean's comment there, and he's right. Like, I think you can look at a ranking sheet and be like, oh, well, I'm going to take all these guys. There's a couple guys, and position scarcity is something to factor in there, um, for sure. And the pitchers just seem to go extremely early in points leagues, and there are different strategies on that. There's multiple different strategies, and it's really
Yeah.
your draft rank and your style really determine how you're going to manage a points league draft. So if you are in a lot of points leagues, Sean's right. You're probably going to do pitchers, and you probably go pitcher. Especially if you're on like maybe that backswing, you can get
Yeah.
two dang good pitchers right out the gate, and then you fill
Yeah.
some bats later, or maybe you go 4 or 5 pitchers straight, and then you fill your bats. It's all in your comfort, and people that know the player pool better, tend to probably draft more pitching and then fill the bats in later
Yeah, and
because
also I think it also depends on your point settings too as well. I mean, you know, in this league,
Mhm.
double, doubles and triples are, 5.2, 7.8. I might try to adjust some of these too. Wins are worth 8 points, saves 8 points. So it all depends on your roster, your settings for your scoring. So it all depends on that too. So if one looks like that, you can, especially home runs, 10 points for, a guy that's going to hit a home run. So I mean,
yeah.
so I think a lot of that all plays into with how you want to, you know, draft too as well, I believe.
Yeah, well, that 10 points for a home run, I don't play a lot of points leagues, so I don't
I've
really know
kind of
offhand.
got in, yeah, I kind of got into him just a little bit last year. I was kind of like, because I did it more on ESPN because I didn't really, Yahoo. I never, so this is my first time trying it on Yahoo because I wanted to see a little bit more of the different styles and stuff like that. So I mean, on ESPN, the thing that I've noticed quite a bit is that I think it's their point settings are a little bit different because you don't see a lot of high scoring from your batters, but you end up seeing a lot more high end points that
Okay.
come from your pitchers. So I mean, your pitcher can get you almost 20, 30 points. So I mean, they end up being a little bit higher. So I wanted to see the difference between Yahoo and ESPN just because I never played points, so I wanted to try it out. So
Mhm.
last year I noticed that toward the end. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, pitchers are actually doing more points or
Oh, yeah.
getting more points. So I'm like, well, what the heck? It's like, dude, I looked at this all wrong because I'm like, instead of trying to get batters right away, let me try to get a few pitchers. I could probably find batters at the end too. So I mean,
Mhm.
maybe get a good batter in the first round or first or second, or maybe get a good batter in the first, then maybe go pitcher, batter. So I guess it all really varies in that aspect too. So it all depends on your strategy too.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And as you noted earlier, I think first and foremost, the most important thing you can do is look at the league standings, but before, or not standings, but settings before you start, because every league is a little different, and it's different from CBS standard to Yahoo standard to Fantrax standards. So,
Yeah.
right, yeah, for sure. Like, there's no reason to chase stolen bases. You don't need a stolen base guy necessarily. You need a guy that gets you points, and they come from
Yeah.
stolen bases too. But um, Miles Straw is worthless in this kind of a format because
Yeah,
he's not going to get
probably,
valued
yeah,
anywhere else.
yeah, stolen bases are worth 4, so maybe India, unless India's got more, upside with homers, or Mondesi probably not so much, so I mean, the guys that might be base stolen potentials will probably be out more on a points league probably.
And Mondesi will be hurt all year, so we don't want him. Remember,
Hey now, I need Mondesi. Don't be
but
talking like that.
so like late round guy, Miles Straw's good. Um,
Eh, maybe in the categories, but maybe not so much in points.
um, yeah, but like surprising, not surprising. They're not surprising anymore. But Spencer Strider could be a.
I don't know
Spencer
about that one.
Strider could be, a pretty solid guy this year. With his strikeout potential. McClanahan's another one. I know some people are down on McClanahan, but
Yeah.
I'm a McClanahan fan. Woodruff will get you a lot of Ks, and but Woodruff over McClanahan 100% because I just think Woodruff's guaranteed more innings. Verlander, he's a stud, and as long as he's out there pitching, he's going to just keep racking you up points. Alcantara went over 200 innings, so I mean, like he's gonna get you, he's gonna rack you up points. So those are good solid ones. And then yeah, like your Sandoval, that's where when you get down to the Sandoval area, you I think you need to kind of consider the structure of the team too. So like
Yeah.
with that 6-man rotation, and this is
You
head to head, right?
Yeah, this is head-to-head
So
points, yep.
there too, like your Angels guys with that drawn out rotation, there's not going to be a whole lot of two start. So
Yeah,
if you can
yeah,
get
probably not.
these true aces from the 5 deep rotations, Um, yeah, yeah, right. That's why Soto gets moved up a couple spots where I never take him in a head-to-head categories league. He doesn't do it for me. But walks
Yeah, it's
walks don't really matter in a head-to-head categories.
and I would think points that's why I kinda wanna kinda get into points a little bit too, because I mean, I think points sometimes points leagues can be a little bit easier for people than doing a category league that's 5 by 5 or, or a 10 by 10 like what we're doing, and I think, a points league would be a little bit easier for even a new person that maybe wants to get into, fantasy baseball or something like that, so so that I think that would be, something I would probably end up doing if I was a newbie, maybe like, "Hey, let's try points league," 'cause, you don't know a whole lot of stats or and whatnot, you know?
It's the softest transition from fantasy football. So, there it is. Yep,
Yep,
for beginners. It's,
yep.
and, like, I, started a home league and, from work, from a group at work, and I had people from 20 years old to 70 years old in this league, and I started with a roto, and, it was fairly hard because I thought it was easier than the head-to-head categories, because head-to-head categories it's a grind, and the more active you are, the better off you are. Same with points in a way, but I
Yeah.
probably should have went points because I just didn't quite understand it. And I'm like, it's really simple. If your guy hits 30 home runs and you have him in the lineup every year, every day, like you get 30 points for him. And if you
Yeah.
have most of those guys more than the other guy, you get, but it was a challenge. And we've moved on. I ripped off that band-aid, and a few years ago we went to head-to-head categories, and
Yeah.
they all absolutely love it. And I think it's because it's the head-to-head style is more like fantasy football, right?
Yeah,
Only
yeah,
only
and
it's 20 weeks instead of,
yeah, and I think a lot of
14.
people too would kind of look at that, especially I mean a guy like me, because I mean I'm more football intended myself, but I mean I'm kind of getting more into the baseball side, and for me, it'd be like, oh, in a points league, it'd be like, oh, okay, well let's look at which guy's putting up so many of this points so I mean I can kind of see that kind of the same thing kind of going on there in
Yeah.
that aspect too.
Sorry if you hear my dogs are going nuts back there.
Hey, bring him in on the show too. I think everybody loves a little dog here and there.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
Someday.
When you look at like a guy that with more high, so where would your cutoff be like far as a guy with strikeouts? 200, 300, or not? Oh, 200 down, 200 on down, or where would your tiers of guys with strikeouts? And
Oh,
then your next kind of tier. If it came to you far as points like points wise.
hmm.
Where would that tier end for kind of like the top end elite guys in your aspect of eyes?
Yeah, I think 200 is a pretty good benchmark, but that's not solid. I don't know, like 200 is a fair number. It's a fair number. I think that's a fair number, but that puts a lot of pitchers in the category. So
Yeah.
I haven't, because I don't do a lot of um, points leagues. I don't have a tier system. So
Yeah,
Sean exposed me, and
yeah. Yeah, I think
so
that
that's kind of tough. But at 200 sounds fair, but that puts there's a decent amount of pitchers. I'm gonna pull that up.
yeah. I guess the other thing too is, with saves being in there, I mean, it's kind of saves kind of being a higher end points on that points thing on the points end too. 'Cause I mean, saves is worth 8 points too as well. So I mean, you would kind of have to value which guys in the saves categories or the saves would you want as well.
Yeah, I really I'm so anti save. It's like I'm so anti closers, but
I, I
I
guess I
and
guess
again, so I need probably to adjust more for this format because
Yeah.
I'm always, as far as drafting goes, I never put a ton of stock in closers because they just get hurt. They either get hurt or if they're ineffective, they just have such short hooks. Where like,
Yeah.
I'm looking at,
See,
let's see. I mean, you get a pitcher who might be struggling, like, they're gonna keep them out there working, right?
yeah.
Like closers just got such a short leash. Yeah, I'm looking at K's 200 puts you at 11 pitchers at the top, but that was Spencer Strider as number 11 at 202 strikeouts last
Yeah.
year, but he only had 131 innings. So technically, you'd want Shane Bieber, who had 200 innings and 198 strikeouts, right? So like, it's not safe to just use strikeouts, but
Yeah. Well, with I mean, with a little bit of saves in there as well. I mean, it's
yeah,
with saves and wins being more your kind of your
for
high end.
me, what I've done and found success with is look at more K per nine and then try to figure out what their innings are going to be type of a setup. Like, because you can't just look at if a like it's tough, but you can't just look at last year and say, well, you only had 160 strikeouts, so but maybe he was down on his innings, like a Spencer Strider.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
Right, 'cause
And
he had 13.8 Ks per nine. Like, that's a guy I want on my points team because he's going to get, 160 innings this year. So what does that mean? That means he's gonna have, what does that give him? 30 more innings. So that's times oh my god, I can't do math right now, but that's 60 more strikeouts or 50 more strikeouts essentially.
yeah.
40 more.
I mean, I'm not. I mean, I know Sean's kind of been doing probably because he's in a points league that's a podcast listener league, and I think we might try to pick his brain maybe maybe sometime here before the season starts because I know he's mentioned about maybe jumping on with us
Cool.
so and I wouldn't mind trying to pick his brain a little bit too because I mean it's the more that I learn you learn and the more we
Mhm.
put out there I think it'll be easier for people to gravitate toward want to do a points league because sometimes categories league can be a little out there extreme for maybe a lot of people. Points league, you don't really have to really worry too much. One would have to really care about is your pitcher going to get you a win, or is your closer can get you a save. It's
Mhm.
so just simplifying it a little bit.
Yeah. Um, yeah. It So, right, and now here I am. I just got done talking about Sandy Alcantara, and now he had 228 innings last year, but he only had 207 strikeouts. So let's say he runs into a finger issue that keeps him out for a couple starts. Well, he's not going to have 200 strikeouts anymore. So like, is he a guy that should be in the top 10? I don't know. Now I don't know. And I see in certain rankings he's like number 7 overall because he hoards up those innings. So
Oh yeah, Sandoval. Yeah,
yeah,
or
no,
I'll call.
Alcantara, yeah.
Yeah,
But I mean, did he? Let's look. Yeah, he
Sandy.
was.
Yeah, he's
He was at 228, and the next
yep.
was Aaron Nola at 205 for innings pitched. So like, he was head and shoulders above everybody. So can he do it again? Possibly, probably. Um, and I'm one of he's not had a super long injury history, so he had 205 innings the year before. So he's done it. He's done it like twice in a row. Why can't he do it third? Right until they break. But um, so that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, I just like I guess I myself, I would probably look at I mean, I've kind of wanted to try to get some of some a little bit of like Zach Wheeler, try to do change it up a little bit because I know Zach Wheeler can be pretty good. He's projected for about 203 strikes, um, and about 13 wins, so I mean that's a lot of points right there in general,
Mhm.
I mean, he's projected 180 innings. I mean it's not 200 some odd innings like some of these other guys, but I mean that's quite a bit of innings too as well, So I just think that, you find yourself a good comfort in some of the guys that end up with quite a few strikes and wins would probably be,
Yeah.
if
Well,
you want to look at it that way.
never chase wins, but
Eh,
pitchers on good teams.
yeah,
You,
yeah,
I never put down. Well, I'm gonna because this guy's going to get me 14 wins. But if
yeah,
he's on the Phillies, like they're going to be good this year, right?
yeah, or
He's
the Dodgers, so
on the
Arias,
Dodgers are going to be a little different this year. They're still
yeah.
going to be good. They're you know they're still going to be good, but they're not going to be great like they have been. Um, but
Oh,
as
so you
opposed
mean
to
oh, so you mean
Merrill Kelly threw 200 innings last year, and this year they'll be different. They'll probably and he won 13 games, so I mean they're going to have a lot of explosive bats. But Merrill Kelly had a um a rise from the dead season, so not dead. He wasn't dead, but he was just an okay guy, and he had a pretty damn good year last year. But so he's going to get pushed up a little bit, but
yeah. So I guess my point, I was just trying to make fun of you a little bit is, oh, so I mean you draft a guy like uh now just my mind just blanked. You did that to me.
I did that on purpose. You ain't put me on blast.
Uh, I was gonna say Paul Blackburn. I was like, oh,
Oh,
draft a guy like
Blackburn.
Paul Blackburn, and
There you
then
go.
he's on the injured list right now. I don't think he's gonna be
He's
starting.
all
So
yours, man. He's all
I
yours.
think
I
I
hope
might
you,
say I think I might stay away from him in points league. So
especially a 10 team.
yeah,
He best not end up on a roster.
yeah.
Wins.
I don't think he will, but yeah. It sounds like he will be not on the opening. I don't think he's going to be starting in the opening season. So it sounds like he's going to go in the IL for a little bit because of his
With
finger.
his little finner.
Yeah, I think he re-injured his finger or something along those lines. So,
That
but
happens.
yeah,
Mama always told me it's not nice to point.
but yeah, I guess it's is there any other things you want to advice that you maybe want to put mention to people or players to pick up or not pick up or draft? Maybe I know we didn't really mention too many anybody in the or for batting. I guess we could bring
Yeah,
up a
I think
few guys
just
quick.
just touch on it again. It's
Yeah,
your big bats are going to get pushed up, and Sean noted on it earlier that the position scarcity is going to push some players up. So just be prepared for that. And if you got good pitching, just don't be scared so much that you lose out on a batter. If the pitching's there, take the pitching.
yeah.
But probably can't go 9 straight pitchers and then but
Try to do some batting.
with it being head to head, right? So
Yeah, yeah, most
that's just
definitely.
so that makes instead of like if it's so a head to head points, like you do want to make sure you get some bats. And so that's why like the first 5 picks, I'm still gonna take, you know, your and how many do you know offhand how many outfielders are with a 10 team? Do you
Ooh,
got 5?
uh, 3.
3? Oh, so okay.
So, I mean, I can
Then
change the roster. I mean, I haven't quite finalized. So, I mean,
so
I can change.
that changes things a little bit. Like I might take a J Ram or something that like
But
because
well, there are two utility spots as well. So, I mean, that kind of opens the playing field too. So, I mean, if you think about it, utility spot, you can almost put another outfielder in there. So, I mean, it's almost like having 5 outfielders if you really wanted to. I mean, it just
yeah,
depends
but
on.
yeah, it just and a 10 team, you're gonna be able to get hot guys off the bench, off the waivers to plug in your bench and fill in. Like if I have the first pick, I might be on J Ram with a 3 outfielder league, but because
I
that
guess
just gives you more availability later. But
Yeah, I guess I mean I've heard people talk about 3 or 3 to to 5. I guess I can kind of see it now. With 3 being a little bit smaller, you're not as many outfielders going off the board. 5, yeah, it's a lot more going off the board. So yeah, I can kind of guess I can kind of see that now too.
being a Yahoo league, Mookie Betts will probably get second base eligibility, so you could play that game.
Yeah,
I did that in the Joe Rogan, I took Mookie Betts at the 7th pick, and because it felt right anyway. And knowing that if all else fails, I didn't draft a second baseman till late because if all else fails, I'll just hopefully find somebody else to plug in at outfield and just can move Mookie to second. So I wasn't scrambling for that second base.
Yeah. Yep. And 10-man to a 20-man way totally different. Some especially in the smaller leagues like this, yeah, you could there's gonna be quite a few basemen out there. I mean, I think you would probably want to try to chase your third base first, maybe too as well.
Mhm.
In your first or second pick, if all is available to you, because
Yeah.
the third baseman's going to go off the board pretty damn quick. So I mean, I think everybody wants to try to at least get their third baseman, and then kind of fill in everything else after that. I
Mhm.
would think, anyways.
I like Sean's comment there. I think that's a great setup. Being a 10-man league, I think you want to do 5 outfielders.
Yeah, I mean,
And
I
2
probably
catchers is fine with the
yeah I
10-man league too, because then there's at least
yeah
starting catchers available. But
yeah
at
I
5
I
outfielders, that's probably the way to go. That was when I started that home league head-to-head cat or
yeah.
roto. When it was roto, it was 5 outfielders too. Just
I guess, Sean, is that how that's listener league, is that how that's set up too as well, or is that a little bit different? I guess you can, chime in on that real quick too as well, because I mean, I haven't really. This will be my first time commissioning a 10-man points league, so I mean, I've kind of want to get a good, availability or roster construction for everybody to feel comfortable with, that they feel comfortable with, in a points league. So I mean, if you have any suggestions, I'm open to listen to as well.
yeah, do 1 utility, corner, middle, and 5 outfield.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, if you're up in the Discord, we can talk a little bit more about that too as well, because it's when you're streaming a little bit time constricted on that part.
Yep. Mhm.
But yeah, no, that's actually something to think about too as well. I think that I'm trying to think who would you avoid in these situations? In a draft, in a points league, who would you who what kind of guys would you avoid?
Empty stats. One category guys like
Paul Blackburn.
Paul Blackburn. Paul Blackburn, I would avoid, especially in a
Uh,
10-man.
uh,
I, like, so batting average doesn't necessarily matter per se in a league like this. So like
yeah,
that's okay, but um, you want to watch like in a 10 team, you can you don't really have to reach or stretch or take deep guys unless you really like them because like throughout the year there's going to be players on that waiver wire that come up
oh,
and show up. And that's the other thing is like in a 10 team league, don't be afraid to churn your bench. Like keep your bench moving because to sit on all that, like you almost have to see in your mind at week this, I'm willing to drop, my 20th through 25th pick. And at week this, I'm willing to drop higher, right? Like obviously you're not going to drop your first 10 picks in the first couple weeks, but you got to picture in your head where you're willing to cut ties with these guys if they're dragging you down because people have terrible years, right? Uh,
yeah,
but yeah, as far as guys I don't target, it would be like for me, it would be um, anybody who's ever subject to getting their starts skipped. um,
yeah.
like that, like to grab a rookie in a 10-team league, rookie
I
pitcher
probably, yeah, I
in a
probably,
10
I
in a
probably,
10 team.
I
And it's
probably stay
okay.
away from them.
It's okay to
Maybe,
get a Grayson Rodriguez or somebody who's going to pitch, right? Or if Hayden Wisniewski wins, okay, they're okay. But
yeah,
so and so is coming up, and I've made this mistake in smaller leagues in the past, and I do it all the time, mainly because I have dynasty leagues and I, you know, go deep into. Oh God, this guy's coming up. He's great, and then you pick him up and like they just don't get that playing time, or they're rusty out of the gate, and
Yeah,
it
yeah,
just kind of drags you down. And so 10-team leagues, it's just if there's a guy on the waiver wire that's hot or has an awesome 2-start week coming up, don't be afraid to drop somebody who's not performing that
yeah,
goes on your later picks.
yeah. That's for sure. And also, I mean, I know Sean mentioned that, like guys like O'Neal Cruz. I don't think you would have to worry about that when it comes to points leagues because that's not really a category in those. I mean, um, I would think O'Neal would probably be a good guy, kind of almost power like a little bit. Hopefully his homers go up. So I mean, I guess I would want to draft a guy like him. Myself because I know how with maybe the homer upside, would be a valuable in a points league. I would think.
It
Guess it
would,
depends on.
but I think what Sean's noting there is that he strikes out a lot too. So
Yeah, yeah,
if strikeouts are a negative, that's just counters all the work he did, all the good work he did. So
yeah,
you do need to watch that. So, like batting average isn't important, but if they strike out 200 times in a season, that's not going to be very good for you.
yeah,
You'll have hot weeks, like
yeah,
you can catch fire. Um, but yeah, definitely. I know this is the 2-start definitely in a team in a points format anyway. Like I took over last year in June, 16 team um, debacle
yeah,
keeper. It's a 40-man keeper, 16 team 40-man keeper, and it was just some pile of garbage that someone dropped out on. And a bottom feeder team. Not that I did a lot off the waiver wire, but I was active, and I even churned the crappiest of the crap. Hey, 4 points is better than the 4 points I wasn't going to get if I wasn't pumping these guys out. But I had all these bums to drop, so I was able to keep churning 2-star pitchers or pitchers in general, and just nickel and dime my opponents to death. And
yeah,
I didn't make the playoffs, but statistically, I could have possibly backdoored in and probably got eaten up in the first round. But
yeah,
regardless, it's just an example of I took a team that was dead on the doormat and was able to push for the playoffs on just being active alone. To Sean's comment there, that take advantage of it. Don't let your bench sit idle. Like you can wait on a guy or two, but don't be afraid to drop 3. You know what I'm saying? Like just to keep things churning and fresh, because the longer you sit on that, that's just wasted space.
yeah. So I just, just quickly here. I mean, these are just kind of some of the categories of some of the points that everybody you can actually see in your home leagues or whatever. So I mean, it all depends on um all the points in your leagues of which direction do you kind of want to go, which guys you want to try to get on your team. So I just, Sean was mentioning stay away from O'Neal Cruz, but it's like if he strikes out quite a bit, well, there's not a
Yeah.
category for a batter getting struck out. So I mean, you're not gonna lose any points there. But I guess it
So
depends in some leagues if that's an option. Yeah, maybe you wouldn't want to. You would try to avoid people that strike out quite a bit too.
it, with all the positives, I would either tone down the awarded points per event or add the strikeouts in,
Yeah,
because
I haven't quite messed with that quite too much, but I think you can. I think one can kind of add some more stuff to these if one wants to. I believe so. I mean, when I did this, this was all automatic. Pretty much
oh, okay,
this is probably just a
standard.
standard. Yep, standard stuff. So I mean, one could go in and change a lot of these values as well.
So like 13, you're at 14.2 points per home run alone. So
Yep, home runs about 10.4. I mean, one could probably change
well,
one.
you get if it's a solo home run, you get 14.2 points. You get a run and an RBI with it. So
Oh, okay, yep.
yeah. So that's not a bad day. So Aaron Judge is extremely valuable then, right? Based off of last year.
Yeah, because he had, like, how many like, freaking over 100 some odd RBIs or something like that.
Yeah. And then all the home runs, and
Yeah.
so hmm. Yeah, I would either consider I would consider adding a negative strikeouts
Yeah,
just to
I,
make
I
it a little
was.
more interesting, just to
Yeah,
tone it down a little bit.
yeah,
Otherwise,
like yeah,
otherwise, I think, and then saves, yeah, oh wait, those closers outside they only get a couple innings, but yeah, I suppose that's pretty standard though, 8.
yeah, it could
Um,
be. I mean, you want it to be worth it a little bit in some way. I
mhm.
mean, you don't want all your pitching to be horrible because if you want all your pitching to be horrible, I mean, then what's the point of having pitchers? We'll just do all batters and see what happens.
Mhm, mhm.
We'll just
Which
do an
there
all.
there are there are leagues like that.
Is there? Oh, damn. Let's do that. Let's just do an all pitching league. How's that sound? Let's all just
You
draft
could probably
pitchers.
do it on you could probably do it on fan tracks. They could do
Probably one.
just
I
about
probably
anything.
believe it too. Bob would probably be the guy to know because
Yeah,
he's the one in there.
we're doing the lion draft right now, which is pretty
Yeah,
awesome. I'm having a
is it?
great time with that. That's
It's
picking the worst team, and it's awesome. I had the first pick, and I took Patrick Corbin, so I don't know if that's the right way to go, but um, there's been some
Corbin is
pretty good.
actually. I mean, he's kind of like he's like soup.
He
He warms
likes.
up. Yep, he warms up and he just chills out real quick.
I just want a mediocre starter that
Uh,
you can do all pitching anywhere. Okay,
yeah, well, let's do an all pitching league then. No, I'm
let's
just
do
kidding. I'm
it.
just kidding.
Yeah, the lion draft's pretty fun. I'm
Yeah,
enjoying that. Yeah, but yeah, yeah. So that's that. Corbin was the pick.
yeah, yeah. He was probably talking about your
Oh yeah, based
Corbin
on
was.
last year. Yep.
Yeah, but Corbin was probably not the best.
Oh my god, he was a train
Especially
wreck last year. So
yeah,
hopefully he can repeat himself and keep a job all year.
hopefully he doesn't get sent down like Grissom, right?
Yeah, well, they they don't have anybody else there, so unless he gets hurt, he's not going anywhere.
Yeah. No, that was kind of a bummer too, kind of hear that Grissom kind of got sent down because I know a lot of guys ended up picking him up, in a lot of leagues, drafted him and whatnot. So yeah. So the other thing is if a lot of people got those nice, NA spots, that's a nice place to plug a guy like him until he gets called back up. So it's always nice to have those roster openings for picking up another guy because it's always helpful. In a
Yeah,
10-man, probably not, maybe not so much, but if you like the guy, stash him away for, however long is needed.
sound advice.
Yep, I would think so. But I think that kind of, I know it can be shit. We were almost at an hour already, even though we are gonna do 30 minutes.
Oh,
Look at
good
that.
job, Jamie. That was really really awesome of you.
Yeah, but
Okay.
I gotta do a draft here in less
Yeah,
than
you gotta
30
get prepping.
minutes. Yep.
Your draft
So
room will open soon.
actually, in like under
4
5 minutes, my
minutes.
draft room will be opening. So yeah, I was gonna maybe try to stream it, but I'm like, probably not. And I was like trying to commentary myself would probably not be that fun and be boring at the same time. So I think I'm just gonna. I blame Eli.
Yep. That's a good call. Good call.
Yeah, we can always just blame him. So that's our kicker right there. So we can
Yeah.
always blame him for that. Well, everybody, I think that kind of wraps up this segment and stream and all that good fun stuff. So I hope that we kind of took something away from this a little bit as far as points wise, because I think we'll probably maybe after draft we'll kind of go back and maybe recap that a little bit and kind of see what we liked and what we didn't like, and as far as points wise, um, yeah. I think we could probably do that. I think you mentioned Monday. We could probably do
I could
that.
I could probably jump on Monday, yeah.
So I think we'll do that. We'll have a show on Monday. We'll kind of recap that, and then we'll kind of go from there. And whenever Donovan's got time, and we'll kind of let you know after that from that last next Monday coming up.
I'm gonna head up to my cottage and do a darkness retreat and find myself for the next couple days. And when I come back, I'll have my answer.
Oh, will you?
Yeah. Oh yeah. One thing to mention quick before we cut out: Elijah Moore, new number 1 in Cleveland. So book that.
I bet you $1 right now he's not the number one. I bet you he's not gonna be a top 100 player this
What?
year.
I would bet $1 on that. Oh, yeah.
Hey,
No, I
okay,
Chad
it's
Chad was talking about, DP Donovan Peoples-Jones, DPJ last night, and I feel really sad for him, although hopefully they just keep using him. That was really sad because he really had a great year last year, and,
yeah,
um,
he did, yeah, most definitely.
it's a good move for Moore. It's probably a good move for the Browns, but,
Yeah,
sucks for
I think Moore's got some value to him. I think he can be at least a good number 2 if he had the opportunity to. So, and I think going to the Browns is maybe a good opportunity for him. But and then the Jets signed Miko Hardman, so kind of almost similar player. Kind of, yeah. My point exactly. But
maybe he just needed out, and I don't know.
yeah, that's about right. All right, everybody. We will see you next Monday. We'll recap our draft and we'll kind of go from there. So, thank you. Appreciate everybody that joined in the conversation. We will see you guys next Monday.
Laters.